Hi everyone, Kim here with Sunshine Creations and Crafts. I'm in the hotel room up at my grandma's house and taking a break from the visiting, and I had brought my paints and stuff with me, so I'm going to do a page in my art journal. All the paints that I'm using are Liquitex acrylic paint and Artist Loft. Now I have a preference now that I've been doing a little bit of mixed medias. I do like the Liquitex acrylics better. And I have to tell you, I kind of threw a bunch of stuff in a bag, so I don't have all of my supplies available to me, so I'm kind of working with what I brought. And here I have spackle, and I'm putting it on a stencil. That's going to be my sun, and we're all working on a summer theme here. Now this is just a white, basic white and a little bit of a yellow tone, and I'd be using a household sponge here that I'm just barely getting a little bit wet and moving it all around. Now as I was doing this and adding more color, to me it reminded me of something that Monet would have done, but I know Monet didn't use a household sponge, so I kind of had to laugh there. That's a little bit of blue. And I'm just working on the sky here. Using that household sponge. I really liked how that turned out. And it was blending really well. Also giving it texture. So down at the bottom, that's supposed to be sand, by the way. This is like a beach sort of thing. And as I said, the household sponge worked really well. I was happy with that. And I'm not using too many colors in this project. Some blues, some purples, some yellows, browns. Keeping it real mild. That's a piece of bubble wrap, and I'm going to put a little bit of I don't know, that's not really plum. It's a real dark purple. We'll call it that. I liked how that blended in there. Just popped up. Now I was looking around my desk. Like I said, this is a really tiny desk, by the way. So that's why the camera's sort of crooked and not typical of what I would do for videotaping. But that's like an off-white color that I mixed with some green. And I'm using a Heidi Swap stencil. And I'm going to put some of it on the faux sand, I'm going to call it. Just to give it a little bit of texture and some color. Kind of reminded me of seashells. And I was considering putting that stamp set with the three ladies, but the size wasn't right. And as you see, I'm kind of going through all the stamps that I brought, showing you, I was trying to decide what I wanted to do here. So I'm going to take a minute to dry and I'll be right back. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and use this wood veneer bicycle. And I'm not sure what the name brand is of that, so I can add that to my blog after this loads. And you know, I have no idea why I was using my finger for this. I've got paintbrushes right there, but that's okay. Put a little bit of red on there. And then I grabbed a paintbrush and went ahead and just finished up the tires in some black. I used to love to finger paint when I was a little girl, so maybe that's why. That's the little bike, and I'm putting some medium on there because I don't have any other kind of adhesive with me. As I said, I just kind of threw a bunch of stuff in a bag and brought it with me. And I wanted to put a design on the back of that tire to make it look like the air was flowing out of it. So I liked that stitch look, but it didn't turn out the way I wanted it as far as, I mean, like it being a stencil use. And you'll see here in a minute, I went ahead and put it down, but it kind of like blobbed all together. But, you know, that's my fault because I wasn't really holding the stencil properly. And I grabbed my acrylic pen that I have, and it was dry. So I don't think I stored it properly. So hopefully I can get that reactivated to work. But in the meantime, I just used my paintbrush. And I was going to put that sticker on there, and you'll see in a minute. I even put the medium on the back of it and put it on that piece of paper there in my art journal. I said, wait a minute, that doesn't go at all. It's like pink and, you know, pastel colors. And just didn't do it for me. So, bye-bye. And again, I'm just looking at the stamps I brought, thinking, what can I add? What can I add? And that's what I like about mixed media is, you know, you have some basic rules, but really, I mean, you do what you want to do with it. You use the texture you want to use and use the colors you want to use. And right here, I'm just hand painting in some seagulls. And fixing up those black tires again. I found some white spots there in the bottom and I wanted to cover those up. So I'm looking on my desk thinking, what else? I go, oh my gosh, I didn't bring any letters, but I brought my binder that had all my stencils in it. And thank you everybody, by the way, for making that suggestion. And I just said, well, I'll just go ahead and do this. Now, you know, looking back at this, I wouldn't have put all these in black. But I did. So I don't really know for sure what color I would put those in, but it did pop. You've got those, you know, bright colors behind it, and it did pop. So every time I work with stencils that are letters, I think of when I was a little girl. My mom was PTA president, and she had these type of stencils that were bigger. And every time she had to make a sign to put out at the front of the school to let everybody know there was a PTA meeting, she used the stencil letters. So nostalgia. And it's just going to say summer fun, and I had to cut out each of the letters individually, so it was taking a little bit of time. I had a hard time trying to figure out where I was going to put this, but I just thought, you know, put one word on one page and one word on the other, and that'll be just fine. Now, I didn't bring any sort of a spray, sparkly spray, you know, tattered angels, nothing. I didn't bring any of that. I had some bare minimum stuff to work with. And that's white paint that I'm putting on my finger, and I'm wanting it to blend in a little bit more, so I thought maybe if I put white around it and kind of worked it into the colors behind it, and I was okay with it. I ended up looking at it thinking, oh, they look like they're on a big white puffy cloud. Not my intention, but that's kind of what it looked like. There I go, finger painting again. Yay! I was wetting my finger here and there too, just so it wasn't so clumpy. And oh, this is a really cool stamp set that I got at a scrapbooking expo about 4 years ago, and it looks like sand. So I just dipped it in my Ranger Archival black ink and put it right down at the bottom there. Now, I intentionally, I didn't intentionally, I was trying to find my acrylic block and I couldn't find it. So I thought, well, I wanted to paint the bushes with green, and I couldn't find the acrylic block, and nor did I have any other inks other than the green. So I slathered it on there with my finger and did what I could. And these are like swirls, and I thought it would be cool to have this, you know, when you're at the beach, the wind is always blowing, and it just sort of reminded me of that. And if I would have had my spray paint, excuse me, my dog is barking. I would have sprayed just a little bit of that all over it to kind of sparkle it up. I just love that. I think it looks so pretty. And what am I doing here? I'm thinking, oh, because I didn't have my spray, I was using a toothbrush, and that was absolute epic fail, as my son would say. Not at all the way I wanted it to turn out. They just kind of blobbed out there. So I just took a very tiny, thin paintbrush and kind of went around in between with some of the real pretty bright blue and blended that all in. Again, I'm always thinking like, it needs more, it needs more. I gotta do more. And I just dipped a little bit of that corner of that house sponge in some blue and just putting more blue on. I wanted to see more blue on my picture. Mostly around those swirls too. I wanted to pop those up, bring them up a little bit. Now I didn't add a whole lot more here, and this is the part where I said, oh my gosh, I need to put more on here. And I couldn't get that stamp set off there for the life of me, so I finally just used with all my strength and pulled it off. That's a Fisker stamp, and it's just like a script. And as I don't know if you noticed, I did find my acrylic block, but it didn't work, so I just used my fingers. So I'm kind of like proud of myself. You know, I did this all on a little hotel desk with bare minimum stuff, and I loved it. I had fun. That stamp says happiness and sunshine. Thanks all so much for watching. Have a great day.